What's up, y'all? So, I've seen there's not that many videos online about how to go about your first feature film, and not necessarily the filming and the editing aspect of it, which is important, obviously, for the physical or digital representation of all your hard work, but about the paperwork, about the cold calls and emails, about how to get your movie to premiere in an actual movie theater. There's so many things that go into filmmaking that I wanted to make a video on as someone who owns their own entertainment company and did it for the first time, making their first feature film last year. Let's get into it. First things first, the film I debuted is Guardians of the Archives. It is a documentary feature film about why, in this digital landscape, in this huge digital era, physical media should still exist, and places that sell physical media are still important in that cultural aspect of our society. And I had to start with a lot of paperwork. I'm not gonna lie. One thing is because I wanted my cousin in the film, and he's an actor who is a SAG member. So I now needed my project that was going to just be a YouTube project to now become a SAG-AFTRA approved project, so he could be a part of it. His agent slash representation really liked it. He really liked it. So they want to be a part of it, but just to make it things easier, and also I wanted to get experience about how to fill out the paperwork and go through this process. I was like, this will be the best time, to do all this. I can get all those learning curves out of the way. So I did the paperwork. I did SAG-AFTRA paperwork. I did budgeting paperwork. I did contract stuff, not only for him but others, people who are going to interview, like all kinds of stuff. And also, and thing that took months, but like it kind of spent over the entire production. But really, the bulk of it was done during this process, during this timetable. Was trying to secure a movie theater for the premiere. Right, this stuff started around. I think I started around December 2023, and really got stuff rolling like I got this done like January or so 2024 is when I started. Like production kind of like, so I had to get all that stuff done. So that stuff took me about a month to do the paperwork, just like get the paperwork done, send it back to people, make sure they sign the stuff they need to sign, make sure SAG approved what they needed to approve. And here's the thing, really a month and a half, really, or almost 2 months really to do this process. One, I want to make sure also clear, I don't have like a full team for this, so it was just me wearing multiple hats like many independent or indie filmmakers have to do. I never done this before for a feature film, especially. I was doing features film, so it was all new to me. So I was like told, like I was looking up stuff online, all this stuff, and I was looking at SAG's website and all that stuff. And then my cousin is just an actor. He's not a producer. He's not a director. Like he doesn't really know the ins and outs of that stuff either. So I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. And I thought, okay, I need insurance. I need this. I need that. And like, listen, the thing they don't tell you about this is that films, it's almost like they want you to spend millions of dollars to make films before they really care about you or like want to really help you, like in terms of just SAG and just like how the insurance, everything is like structured. It's like they want you to spend millions of dollars. I had a budget of $1,500. No, sorry. I had a budget of $2,500 for this film. That's all I had. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to fly anywhere because my cousin's based in LA. I was like, I'm not going to fly over there to do interviews because also things about insurance and all stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I can cut their insurance costs down. I can cut a lot of these fees and stuff down. And really I just needed him for like 30 minutes, like literally a 30 minutes to an hour interview. So I was like, okay, how about we do it over Zoom? I ended up using Riverside. Shout out to Riverside, great service, not sponsored. I used Riverside for the interview. Amazing. Got the interview way better than Zoom. And then, so I got him that way to cut across the insurance of having a physical location, having him do any action, do any of that stuff. It was just him answering questions on Zoom, and it worked perfectly for the film. Again, check it out. It's called Guardians of the Archives. Then came the research / cold calls. Now that we got the only actor I really had was my cousin, right? Got that stuff done, all that stuff done. Now I needed the cold calls, the research, how to come in. So I already had the idea. I already knew I wanted to talk about. I already kind of got the research done with that. But now I needed to find the locations and find the businesses that would be fine with me interviewing them for this project. Um, and that took about a month. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that was the easiest part of all of this. Surprisingly, frustrating, yes, but the easiest part of this whole process was finding people to talk to. And I was very shocked. Now, part of that is because when I was in college, I went studied abroad in England and I went to France as well for a bit. And I say a bit, but it was like a semester, like a winter semester. It wasn't really that long, but like it was a really compact and it was a lot of like, hey, it was a documentary course. It was like, you're here to make a documentary film about something. At the time, I think I picked something about theater businesses in England or in Europe versus America, right? United States. Like that's what my thing was. And I took that experience about cold calling and emailing and stuff like that, and I kind of used it here years later. Because I was like back in like 2016, 17. Used it here in like 2024. So I reached out to a bunch of business. I mean, a bunch of local business in my area, and some big, some small, some in the middle. And a lot of people didn't get back to me. Pretty disheartening. But more than enough got back to me. Like about a couple businesses got back to me, and they were really happy. Like I emailed them. Um, I pitched to them exactly what it was. I showed them the exact questions I wanted to ask and why I wanted to make this film. They were really down with it. I had some calls and conversations with them. Um, and it was funny. You'd be shocked like how many like how much films or how much projects are really going on, because some conversations I had was like, yo, we've had people rent out our space or use our space for like music videos and stuff like that, and end up kind of being a disaster, end up being something we didn't really want it to be. And I was like, hey, I promise you, I'm asking these 10 to 20 questions. This is literally all I'm going to ask you. You can have it way in advance before it's time to interview, because it ended up being like a month and change before I end up getting to the interview. So the interview process took a little bit. But like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm doing. It's just gonna be me and my cinematographer, and we're gonna be in and out. We can do this in the morning before you open. We can do this. We can do this after you close. Whatever is good with y'all, we can make it work. I'm not even trying to inconvenience y'all. Being really transparent, being professional, paid off. They loved it. Boom. Now we had the people we wanted to interview, and it was amazing. Now the filming, which is the most grueling part, really, of any of this whole journey, because obviously this is the part where you're physically moving a lot of equipment, you're physically filming things, you're asking questions, you're taking ideas and now you're executing them. And the filming took about 3 to 4 months of filming for this. And that's for many couple reasons, because this is a documentary, so many of it was just having to schedule things around, and people's like time they were able to film was like February, March, some April. So I was like, okay, we got that aspect out of the way. And there are some aspects of this film where I wanted to have, like, in the beginning, there's like a part where I have people talking. It's kind of like flipping through the channels. So I had to go film that. So that also bled into like April, May. We had to like film that aspect of the film. So even though it's a small part of the film, it's still, it's about those little details that I want to put in there. So that's just something I had to do. So filming was from like February to like May, June-ish. Like some of it bled into like the first 2 weeks of June, but by June we're like done. Like we're mostly done by like mid-May, but there's like some things we had to film here and there that took place like early June. We're done. So that's how long filming took. We had to go to these locations. We had to film. We had to get a lot of B-roll. I still have B-roll I didn't even use in the film. But again, shoot more than you need. Than you may need. You never know. So I have a lot of B-roll. We did the interview questions. Main cinematographers, I had 2. My friend Alwyn, my friend Alex. They took turns shooting. So that was fun being able to do that experience with them and have them work on their first official SAG project with me. Like, that's pretty awesome. That we all 3 got to work on a SAG project together. So Filmed that, did some Zoom interviews as well with my cousin, who's the actor who's in the film. So that took a couple of months to shoot, and I'm not gonna lie, yes, it was grueling, taxing at times, a lot of travel, just driving, a lot of driving, but it was so fun, man. It was so fun to hit the road super early in the morning, super late, and just like have just your camera, your crew, and you're just out there filming something special, man. Like, it's one of those things that like I'll look back. If this is, I hope this is not my only film, but like if it was, I was like, that's an experience that like I'll never take for granted. Super cool. So that took a while, and through that process came finalizing the movie premiere location and date, and that was at the AFI Theater, which was my dream theater to have a movie premiere. I went there when I was a youngin in college, and I had film classes. And every Wednesday we would have to go watch a film and do like a report and all that stuff on it. I was like, I'm gonna have my movie premiere in one of these theaters rooms in the AFI, and I was finally able to do it. I forgot what the price was. Oh man, I don't want to misquote the price, man, but like it was super cool. Hold on, let me actually see if I have the yeah, this is really cool. So this is the physical tickets they handed out at the AFI screening. So that was really cool. So AFI Theater, I was able to premiere my movie there. Guardians of the Archive, super cool. I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit there, but I thought it was pretty cool. So that happened. Filming, that happened. There's installments. You paid like 50-50, so 50 to reserve it, 50 at least. I think it was 2 weeks before or so to pay off the rest of the deposit, have it finalized, right? So cool. Did that. With all that done came the editing process that took about another 2 months. This is because I was working and doing other projects. I'm also a reseller flipper, so I do that just to pay for the film and pay for bills and stuff like that. Editing was really, really tough. I'm not gonna lie. The final cut of this film was not far off from the original idea I had, but obviously, like through the edits and through filming, like certain things change, certain aspects change. There's certain interviews, certain things I wanted to do that I didn't have time or / didn't have the resources to do anymore, or things happen, things get canceled. So the final cut of the film changed quite a bit from originally what I wanted to do, but not enough to like destroy the nucleus of the film itself. The film itself was intact, and I was doing edits and things I've never touched with before, like green screen and stuff like that, and all these different like effects. So and using a bunch of different assets and stuff. So like it just took me a really long time to edit this, and I just had such a depressed feeling because I was struggling to figure out how to pay the rest of the deposit for the movie theater, and then I was like struggling to. I was just so tired while working so much and grinding so much to even like edit that. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of slept with editing a little bit, and it took me going to the beach with my friends for a day to completely reset my life basically and find the willpower, and I just powered through it and finished it. So shout out to my homies for taking me to the beach and having me realize what life is, and I locked the fuck back in. I locked back in. So yeah, that was editing. Now comes the crucial part: deposits paid, movies done. Man, when I finished editing this movie, bro. 'Cause another thing is like, bro. So editing in surround sound, I didn't know that was different from editing in stereo, and that was a whole thing that I had to figure out. And the videos were really confusing, and so that was a whole thing, man. And then you don't do MP4 format. You have to do DCP, which is the format that movie theaters use to launch their movies. And that was a trip because the videos about it, while they're out there, a lot of them are either outdated or they don't have the best explanation. Like, there's not the best videos, so that was real. Like that was, and I had no one to teach me that. That was just try to go back and forth to the theater because I could not figure this stuff out. And then bro, the hard drive, brother. This is like 2 weeks of time. This is time to turn the film. The film's done now. We're talking about the turning, man. So the turning's tough because you have to do in that format, which is not your typical format. The DCP format is not something you can just like upload to YouTube. Like you can't upload it anywhere. The only people that can really use DCP format is like the projector in the movie theaters, right? So like, so the hard drive has to be formatted in Linux. Let me tell you, I don't even know the ins and outs. I'm not going to get too tech savvy with this. Basically, this is the problem. If you're using the computer, most of you, I'm sure, if you're using a computer and you're watching this, right, on your computer, laptop, whatever, you are not in Linux. I'm sure 99% of you who are watching this, not using Linux. So that tells you that you don't even probably know what Linux is, and just unless you're doing films and some other really niche things, you will never have to know what Linux is. And I pray you don't, because oh my god, bro, figuring out how to format this thing in Linux was a nightmare. I messed up my computer many times trying to do this. There's still stuff months later on my computer that's just stuck because I just don't know how to get rid of it. I downloaded so much weird shit just to figure out how to format my drive to Linux, man, and then how to reformat it back after the film was over. So that was a mess. Took me going to the movie theater and back and forth to figure that out. But then I finally accomplished it. Into the projector room, saw that it worked, saw it loaded up to the projector, just like all these classic movies. In the same theater, by the way, and while I'm watching this, David Lynch passed. Rest in peace, David Lynch. Why is this important? Because the first movie I ever saw AFI theater was Blue Velvet. And the theater I saw it in is the theater, and that Blue Velvet movie changed my filmmaking life. And that theater room is the theater room that I used to watch or to do my premiere in. Full circle. I was 2 weeks away from having a full circle moment, brothers. 2 weeks away. So you get all that down. Now you need a movie poster. By the way, my budget was $2.5K. I'm over the budget now. I'm cooked. I have no money to do a theater, to do so much. Like there's so many little things I had to do. So like we had to format the drive. I had to like to go from what the drive is to Linux. It would completely wipe everything in my hard drive and the film, my work, my whole life. I had this hard drive since I was in college. There's a lot of work on it. I can't do that. So I had to go buy a hard drive. It cost me like $80 something. Because the file for this DCP thing was freaking huge at first, and it was a whole thing. So I was like, okay, let me just go get this thing. And then, because I filmed it in 4K and all this other stuff. So that happened. And then I had to go get the hard drive, pay the deposit, which was over $1,000 for sure for the movie theater. Pay my cousin the SAG day rate. I forget what the SAG day rate is. I only had him for like 30 minutes, so I forgot what the SAG day rate was, but I paid him that. It wasn't that much money, but like I paid him that, and then so whatever the SAG minimum day rate was, I paid him that in full. I paid the theater deposit, paid for the drive, had to pay for a bunch of the obviously transportation costs to go like to and from locations, because locations were not close to me at all. Minimum was like an hour and 30 minutes was like the closest location I did for filming. So did that. And then I had to do a movie poster. The movie poster was a huge, like one of them big jaunts, bro. Big jaunts. Cost me like 30 something dollars to get one of those. Just one. I kind of want more to give to my crew. I plan to do that for my 2 cinematographers. I plan to do that. So that was something special. And that was interesting. And I do want to give one to the people who were in the film, because I do think it's important to like offer that up and do that. So I plan to visit locations again and hand those out. But yeah, so that's something. Just buying one was like $30. And man, and then advertising, bro. We're 2 weeks out from the premiere, so now it's about advertising your film, which I was doing for a while. During like the editing process, that's when I started. So months ago, I started like telling people, but the theater had like 72 seats, I believe. It was a 72-seater theater. Um, and so I was like, okay, originally how I was going to go, I'm going to go into too much detail about this, but originally I was like, okay, I need to make it, I made it a private event. I made it a private event. I was like, I don't want a bunch of rent. Like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, and I want to control factor. I want to make sure that people who participate in the film, because some of these stores had staff, so I was like, okay, I want to make sure there's enough tickets for staff members to be able to come and fans, family and friends, plus ones, things like. I want to make sure there's seats for people first, and then we can make it public for randoms to come in. So I was doing that, and so that was one thing, and then we still had a lot of tickets left over. So then I was like, all right, let me go, because a lot of people canceled. A shit ton of people canceled. Like, I think like 30 something people canceled. So I was like, oh shit, we have to like scramble now. So I went contacted my old professor and like from my college days at UMD, and he told his students and the faculty and stuff, and some of them came out and supported. So that was amazing. Shout out to them. That was great. So that was done. That was amazing. It was just buying the backdrop. We had to do a backdrop for photos. That costs about 12, $15 for that. Another clamp. So about like $25 is what I need for that. And then they requested, hey, do you want physical tickets? Nothing fancy. I was like, of course I want physical tickets, man. This is my like, yes, I want, this is amazing. I want physical tickets. So that was free, but I wanted physical tickets, and no one paid for this premiere. I was like, I don't want people to worry about that. I just want them to come, enjoy the film with us, and relax. And we did a Q&A afterwards. It was an amazing. First of all, I want to say this too before I forget. Shout out to AFI, the entire organization. I'm not just the LA AFI, but I'm talking about the AFI in downtown Silver Spring. Amazing, because I kind of forgot to say this. When I was searching for a theater, AFI was my dream choice, but I knew it was probably going to be expensive. And I was like, oh, they're such a big organization. It's so important culturally to the film. There's no way they're going to take me seriously, or there's no way they're going to, whatever. The schedule's probably going to be booked and all this stuff. And so I contacted AMC theaters, all my AMC local theaters. I contacted all my Regal theaters. I contacted some art house theaters. Like, I contacted a lot of people. And not one of them got back to me. Not one of them, out of the 4 months I was doing it, like doing just the planning stuff, not one of them contacted me. AFI contacted me within like 5 hours and got me to a representative who was my point of contact for the entire event. Was super professional, was super understanding. I was brand new, super understanding. Shout out to Juliet, man. Shout out to her, bro. Amazing human being, so professional, and like honest to God, bro. Like, just one of the nicest human beings humanly possible, and really, 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 really made it possible for this whole thing to happen. Because I was stressed the fuck out. But yeah, AFI had my back, gave me a rate, 50-50. They broke down, made it super easy. This isn't sponsored. This is just, I needed that to be as simple as possible, and they made it very simple for me. So shout out to them. Shout out to the person who's a projectionist and handles all that stuff. Like, it was amazing time. So that was pretty much the process from start to finish of how it is. You actually have it play. The coolest thing is like going to the previews, like just you and my team, and just seeing it, like seeing you on the big screen, seeing all that together, hearing the sound, make sure everything's good, make sure it's because it's one thing from your computer to like the big screen. So that was dope. So amazing experience, 10 out of 10. We did the premiere September 15th, I believe it was, whatever that Sunday is, September 15th, I think it's 15th, September 15th, 2024 is when we had it. It was an amazing time. Got a lot of photos, seeing your company name, my LLC, like on the ticker, seeing it on the historic AFI, and just going to concession stands and being like, it's the concession stands is to go watch me on screen. Like, it's some processes, bro. So it was an amazing time. It was so worth it. And if you're an independent filmmaker like myself and you want to make something, I'm telling you, it's very possible, dude. It's a lot of work. You're going to probably cry a couple of times, and you're going to need some help. Even if it's not to film, just for like little things here and there, you're going to need help. You cannot do it all by yourself, and it's not going to cost you as much money as you think. Now, granted, I did a documentary film. It was nothing that needed heavy insurance, needed heavy travel. So there's so many different ways this can go. But like, I did that, and also there's something I should have done. There's paperwork for the AF for our SAG. There's different tiers of budgets for your film. I did the ultra low budget. I think it was ultra low budget is what I did. Like whatever the lowest possible budget is for film for SAG, that's the one I did. So that was my film classified as. So you don't get SAG credits for that. You don't, but I don't care about the SAG credits. I just needed to be a SAG approved project, which it is. I want my friends and me to have SAG experience, which even if they don't count it, it's still SAG experience. It is, and it was amazing. So it's possible. And if there's any part of this you want me to break down a lot more, let me know, because I can make videos about this. But I just wanted you to do like a general video about like what it's like to make your first feature film and premiere it at a movie theater, especially your dream movie theater. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Love y'all to pieces, man. Have a good one. Peace out.